Have you had this feeling of a big sigh of relief when you understand that the problem that you're going through is not just occurring to you, but it's pretty common among people? I was in a similar state of mind when I started to learn more about why I compare myself with others. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be discussing with you a topic that has been in my heart for a very long time, and it's about self-comparison with others. I had really struggled with this issue in my late teens and early 20s. But 6 years back, on a flight from Delhi to Frankfurt, something remarkable happened which completely changed the way I see comparisons. I'm sure if you have been on a flight, you would have experienced this feeling. During the course of this video, I'll definitely share with you my experience. When I was researching material for this video, I found some very disturbing statistics on the internet. And this was published by the CDC in the US on the suicide rates among teenagers and young adults between the age of 14 and 24. And what was disturbing was the rate which spiked almost 56% between the years 2007 and 2017 compared to the previous decade. Even though the researchers are not able to pinpoint this spike to a particular reason, what we cannot deny is the influence of social media during this period. We all know the rise of social media during the last decade, right? Further studies have shown that social media is one of the main causes that the youth of today end up in this spiral of anxiety, depression, and lack of self-worth. So what is this issue with self-comparison that is actually causing a lot of problem? And today I would like to take that in a bit more detail. So let's imagine what happens in a mind of a person once he starts comparing himself to a person he sees on social media or he sees in real life. So let's try to understand the reason why actually we compare. So why do we compare? This problem has been there for a very long time, and it is embedded deeply into our culture. Look at the situations in our daily lives when we are often compelled to compare, right? For example, you're going to the supermarket to pick up a stuff. You have so many options available to choose from. So you're doing a comparison there of which gives you more value, right? When you want to buy a new car, the options are many, and you look out for the best value. When you want to book a flight, it's the same thing. You want to find out what gives you the best value. The same thing is the philosophy behind our comparison with ourselves. When you compare products and services, it adds some value. It gives you a better product, right? But comparing yourself with others is not giving you any benefit. And this is what you need to remind your mind about, that it doesn't add any benefit, but just stress. So let's try to understand the typical mentality when we compare. When you're comparing on social media, what happens is that you're trying to compare the best that somebody is portraying or the best that they're willing to portray with the worst that you know about yourself. Because 99% of the times what we see on social media is people sharing their best moments of life, right? And when they do that, you start comparing those best moments of their life with the worst that you know about yourself. And this is the conflict that our minds have to deal with. And that is what brings stress into our life. Because you don't think that the person who is posting also has these dark phases of life. But the only difference is you don't know that. That doesn't mean that the person doesn't have that phase. So what you're comparing is the best that they show with the worst that you know about yourself. And this is the main problem, this is the main issue. So let me come back to my personal experience on that flight that day. As usual, I was occupying the window seat and I was looking out through the window. So we were ready for takeoff, and in like 2-3 seconds, we were accelerating at very high speeds. And when I looked through the window, I could feel the stress inside of me. We have all been in that situation, right? When the flight is accelerating on the runway just before takeoff, you feel that stress when you look outside the window, right? Do you know the speed at which a flight takes off? It's close to 250 kilometers per hour. Also, it depends upon the aircraft model, but on an average, it's around 250 kilometers per hour. But half an hour into the flight, we were at cruising altitudes at 30,000 feet. This time also, I was doing my usual thing, looking out of the window. And this time I noticed something very different. When I observed the speed of the aircraft, it was moving at 900 kilometers per hour. But when I looked out of the window, I could feel peace. And there was no more stress. And then I was trying to reason in my mind Why is that at 250 kilometers per hour I could feel that stress on the runway, but at this altitude at 900 kilometers per hour I don't feel stress anymore, even if the speed is almost 3.5 times more? And this got me thinking. But that is when my mind connected it to comparisons. And the main reason that you feel stress on the runway is not because of the speed. It is because when you look out of the window, you have some states of reference for your comparison, right? If you look out of the window, you see trees, you see buildings, you see roads. So these are all changing landscapes. And because there is this state of reference as comparisons, that is what brings in stress into you. But once you are at the cruise altitude, when you look out through the window, you see endless sky. There is no state of reference, or there is no comparison. And that is why at that altitude, you don't feel any stress. You hardly know that you're moving, but actually you're moving 3.5 times the speed than you were at the runway. And this completely changed the way I see comparisons, because you can also think of it this way. If you are ready to train your mind to come out of that zone of comparison and reach those cruise altitudes where there is nothing there to compare, that is when your life will actually cruise at very high speeds. So this one experience completely changed the way I think about comparisons. Apart from stress, another bad thing comparison brings in is that you will lose track of your progress. Because you are setting up standards which are way too high for you, because you're comparing yourself with somebody who is much above you, and then you already make up in your mind that this gap is no way possible to reach. So you automatically lose the motivation to go ahead. So even if you're making small progress in life, your mind tries to convince you that this gap cannot be met, which in turn drives your mind into a spiral of depression and anxiety. So what can we do about this? We should understand that this problem is common and it could occur, because we are, as I said, we are living in a society that has trained our minds to compare often. So we should be aware of this, that this thought can come into you, but then you should channel it in the proper way. For example, you could take it in this way. You could see somebody doing well in life. So instead of admiring their results, what you can try to do is, you can try to understand the processes and systems that they have been using to get to where they are. Rather than admiring the results and rather than focusing on the results, you can focus on the methods and processes that they are using in order to get those results. For example, if you're admiring a person who has a good physique, instead of aiming for the same physique that you want, aim for the transformation that you're planning, aim for the process of reaching there. So if it may be a lifestyle change, it may be an exercise that you need to add into your life, it might be dietary changes. So that is the thing that you can add to your life. And once you do that, you're changing your system, right? And once you change your system, you can see and track your progress. So with this, you're not focusing on the results that they have achieved, but you are focusing on the process that they have followed. And if you think that their process is more efficient than yours, I think that is the way we need to modify our lives, to work on our processes and systems rather than the results. So this definitely won't add stress to your life, but definitely you can see that once you modify your processes and systems, that the small steps that you make are actually making progress. And that is what you need to compare. And then you should compare yourself, how you're doing to the previous day, or how you yourself are doing to your previous self. And that is the comparison that you need to make, not with others, but within yourself. If you do that comparison with yourself, you can understand that you're making progress. So once your mind knows that you're making progress, the flywheel is already rotating, which means you have the momentum on your side and you just have to continue doing that. Another thing with comparison is that you will not value what you actually have in life. I've often heard people say, if I had little more money, my life would have been much happier. And they draw these conclusions from people that they see. But actually, is that the case? You might think that you'll be happy if you get a little more money, but once you get that money, you would want even more money. There's nothing wrong in going after your goals, but then you should always understand the value of things that you have in your life right now and cherish those small moments of life which actually makes you happy. It can be your relationship, it can be your health, it can be your education. These things are actually much more worth than you think they are. Because oftentimes we don't value the things that we have in life, right? And we think that what we are chasing after is actually what will make you happy, but it's not the case. So let me leave you with this simple yet powerful thought. Would you ever trade a loved one of yours for $1 billion? No, right? The same is with your health. The same is with things that you cannot evaluate with money. Just think, would you ever trade those things for $1 billion? So now you understand how rich you are, right? So as you're counting your billions, I kindly request you, if this video made you smile, if this video made a change in your perspective, do talk about it with your friends and families. Do share this message with them, because somebody out there would need this badly. Gratitude is indeed the best attitude. Till we meet the next time, keep counting your billions. Goodbye.